Gotta let her warm up a little bit. It's a cold one today, man. 33 degrees. Sheesh. That is chilly. Oh, let's see. How many miles do we have left on this break-in? About 400 miles left on the break-in. So we're getting there. By the time we go to BMW Invasion in Orlando and come back, we'll be completely broken in, and we can start actually tuning this thing and turning it up. Honestly, we could probably do it now, but what's the point? Might as well just wait until after the show, get a nice casual long drive in, make sure this engine is good and ready to go. I have no doubts that she is good and ready to go. I'll tell you what, I've been driving the E36 M3 all weekend, and just like going to car shows, hanging out with friends, and it is really nice to have a car like this in the garage that is just completely different than the E36 M3 in every single way. And that's kind of like why I went for the automatic, why I went for the F30. I just wanted a car that was on the other end of the spectrum, that was just a little more luxurious to drive and comfortable and laid back. You know, the E36 M3 is very demanding, it's very hands-on, which I love, but I don't love it all the time. So it is nice to have something a little bit different in the garage. But I really think that the F30s, especially the 340s, have a great way of combining like a luxury feel and a sport vehicle. You still get enough road feel, you still get enough speed, you still get enough responsiveness, but you also get that comfortability and that luxury and just of like the tech and everything. They really do a awesome job on these F-Series BMWs in general. I think as these models get newer and newer, they tend to become a little more numb. Very curious to see what the G87 M2 looks like when it comes out. I think we should see some pretty cool stuff from that car. But yeah, I figured I would bring you guys out for a little drive today. And it's a nice Sunday morning. There's not much going on. Traffic is kind of chill as of right now. I figured we'd go out and drive the car a little bit. These aren't going to be like watt pulls or anything. We're just kind of going for a cruise. So sit back, relax, enjoy it. I have a rattle in here. I think I've tracked it down. I think it is the locking mechanism. What do you call it? The top little plastic lock piece that comes out of the door, whatever that's called, on the passenger door is just like making so much noise. In a car that is this quiet on the inside, you notice everything. There's like the E36, you get some rattles and it's like, yeah, like that's just gonna happen on that car. Everything's loud, everything's rattling. But on this car, it's so quiet that the slightest little rattle just annoys the shit out of you. So I gotta do something about that. I think I might put some Tesa tape around it or something on the inside. I don't know, we'll figure it out. These tires feel pretty good. It's my first time running them. They're not bad at all. Definitely got to warm them up. Car sounds so good. It just sounds so healthy. The other motor that I had before it got rod knock, it never sounded quite right. Like, it always just sounded kind of loud and chattery. And this engine is just a lot more quiet. E92 M3. Damn, that thing was clean. It's like an Interlagos or Le Mans. That thing was freaking clean. I think I know who that is. We are out in the sticks, my friends. But these roads are awesome out here. Especially if you can get out on like a early Sunday morning. Perfect. This car feels really good though, in terms of handling. I mean, it's no like F80 or F82, you know, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good for being like a family sports sedan. That's what this is. I mean, it's not an M3, it's not an M4. There's a reason that people buy those cars, and it's for the handling. They handle them incredibly well. Just a bit more raw, whereas like the F30, it's a little squishy. The rear end is a little squishy, no matter what you do to it. Just not really meant to be like a track car, like a high performance handling car. But for what it is, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. But I often see people talk about how like, oh, it's just as good as an M car, or like the B58 will destroy the S55 or the M cars with like a little modification. It's like, the thing is, maybe that's true in some situations, but the car will never perform or handle like an F8X. Those cars were made with the intention of performance. Performance came before anything else. Whereas these cars, they're a little more like luxury and then performance, you know? And you can totally tell when you drive an F30 versus an F80. They're much different. I think we just get some people who they're more concerned with like roll racing, like drag racing. But I think the real fun comes in road driving, handling. I mean, this car is just, it's so chill. Like, you're flying through corners and it's just so relaxed. The scenery out here, man. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, it really is impressive though. I mean, even with this not being an F80 or an F82, it still feels really good with just a few things that you can do to it. You know, running a little bit of camber, having some KW coils on it, or just a comparable, like, decent coilover setup, some good tires, some good brakes. I mean, that is it. That's what you need in these cars. Good tires, good brakes, and a good suspension. And it just dramatically changes the way that the car drives. It's a lot more fun. You know, and if you can't afford like an F80 or an F82, this is a great alternative, one of these cars. It doesn't have to be a 340, you know? You get a 335, like the M55s are fantastic. You just can't quite get the ceiling that you can get with a B58 and the 340. And just the B58 just makes power effortlessly, like very, very well, and it's rather reliable. Enter Rodnock discussion. We'll have a whole video on the Rodnock engine, but there's a lot more to that story, and it'll make a little more sense. There's a lot of people, not a lot of people, there's a few people making videos online about my situation and like why it happened. None of them are right. None of them have any idea like what they're actually talking about with the situation. So we'll do a full teardown and we'll talk about what we know, and I have a little more info and insight as to what happened that I think most of these people who are just speculating out here. But it is going to be interesting, and we're going to do that right when we get back from Invasion. Basically going to tear the whole motor down. We're going to talk about what we found. We've already found a couple of things that definitely definitely going to make for an interesting story for sure. This turbo sounds insane on this car. Obviously, I haven't done any like wide open throttle accelerations because I'm a little bit nervous. I'm still kind of getting comfortable to breaking this car in. But once we turn it up, it'll be balls to the wall and we'll just go nuts. Yeah, it's the induction noise that this turbo makes is just, it's insane. It's unbelievable. It sounds really good. But it's rowdy, man. This thing is rowdy. That's like 20% throttle. It's just like barely. So when I do drive this car around normally and I'm like breaking it in, I try to keep it 3,000 to like 5,000 RPMs, and I just kind of cruise with it at that level to kind of just seat everything and get the engine comfortable at like a little mid-higher RPM, not flooring it, not going crazy, just driving it just like this, you know? Let the engine kind of get used to that. And from what I've learned and from what I've read, that's kind of where you want to be, like 3,000 to 5,000 RPM to just kind of cruise in that area. Tried to get some drone footage earlier. Definitely almost lost my drone. I haven't flown that thing in forever, and I gotta relog into like the account and everything, so it limited me as to like where I could fly it and how high I could fly it without actually being logged in. And yeah, it just like completely disconnected while I was driving. I was like, oh, okay. Luckily it went back to its home, which was just on the side of the road, and I found it, but it was kind of funny. Absolutely loving the steering wheel and everything. The way that this is all set up with the P3 gauge, it's like just the perfect setup in this car, I feel like, for everything that you need, from, you know, reading all of your parameters, your boost, your fueling, your air to fuel ratios, your, you know, your temperatures, your oil temps and all that. It's just, it's nice to have, and it's just very convenient to use. You get codes and you can clear them right then and there. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's a good little setup. And then obviously with this wheel, dude, this wheel is just so sick. It completely changed this car. The way that this car feels inside is just, it doesn't feel like an F30. It feels more like, the way that it looks and feels is more like F80 territory. And then I will be changing out, you know, obviously the trim. I'm gonna do some kind of carbon fiber trim setup, something like that. I don't know, I haven't quite decided yet. I feel like everyone just goes crazy with carbon nowadays, and it can kind of get to be overboard a little bit. Freezing out today. She's looking good, man. She's looking good. Sits a little high up front. I think I'm gonna bring it down a little bit. Maybe just like 1/4 of an inch. I don't know, I gotta measure everything. I think the car actually needs to come down, like the whole car needs to come down a little bit. She's looking good, man. She's looking good. Loving this car. This car's been a lot of fun lately. Super glad to have it back, obviously. And yeah, so if you guys saw in the other video, I was talking about painting this. I'm gonna just keep it exposed carbon. I think it looks better. It's kind of like one of those things, you really have to see this car in person, man. Because like, it doesn't, when I look at it on camera, I'm just like, eh, that's okay. But when I see it in person, yeah, it definitely just looks a lot better in person. I don't know what it is. I think it's just maybe the way that these like cars photograph. in video, in my opinion. It's not bad by any means, but I think they look a lot better like in the flesh, in person, where you can really see like all the carbon and like the details kind of working all together, the black portions with obviously like the wheels and the brakes and everything. It's just one of those cars you have to see in person. I'm still waiting on my carbon rear diffuser, but we'll throw that on too, and that's really going to be it in terms of like exterior stuff. I don't really have anything else that I want to do to it exterior wise. I was going to do the GTS taillights when I first bought this car, but dude, I feel like everybody does the GTS taillights and they just kind of lost their appeal. For me personally, I feel like at this point the GTS taillights kind of look like just kind of cheap China crap in my opinion. They're cool. It's cool to see something different on the car with like the sequences and everything, but I feel like they got played out really, really fast. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of like feeling the same way about the hood. I might take my hood off, or I might do like a carbon hood or something a little bit different. It's not that it doesn't look bad, I just kind of am tired of like seeing all the same cars, you know? The game has changed a lot in the past few years, and like everybody has F30s and everyone kind of does the same kind of modifications. So it just gets a little bit stale. There's not a lot of room for like uniqueness when it comes to these cars, because everyone just kind of goes for the same parts, so they all kind of look the same. Right off the jump, when like the GTS tails were available, I didn't have an F30 at the time, but everybody got them, like everybody, and now everybody has them, and they're just kind of like bleh. They're just kind of played out. That's just me personally, that's just my opinion. So I'm kind of feeling like the LCIs are just the way to go with these cars. Just keep it clean and simple, and yeah, I just feel like those GTS taillights kind of got overdone, and I'm sort of feeling like the same vibes with the hoods, man. I might do something a little bit different. I might just get some kind of like carbon fiber hood, or maybe just even just go back to stock. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think down below. It's always interesting when we go down like that modification rabbit hole and change our minds sometimes. You know, I had some people in the previous videos who were like, why do you like redo things or do things twice? I'm just discovering. I'm just like seeing what I like. A lot of times like I'll put something on and I'm good with it, but I want to like live with it for a little while and see how it kind of grows on me, or if I just don't like it over time. Like the painted spoiler I thought was cool. It was something different, but there's something with the shape of it. Like I don't love like the really thin spoilers that stick off the back really far. I think they just look weird on these cars, and that one was kind of doing that for me. I felt like the shape of the spoiler was cool, but it was too big. I wanted something that was like, if it was going to be that shape, I wanted it to be a little more subdued and like simple and smaller. This one is big. I will say this this high kick spoiler is big, but the shape of it I like a lot better with the trunk and like the simplicity of everything. It's not like crazy. It doesn't have crazy lines. For now, I like it. This is the one that I ran on the M2, and I never took it off. I just really enjoyed it after I did like the GTS wing, which got me a lot of heat, man. People were the GTS wing on the M2, which I think looks really good. I think that that's the wing to run on those cars if you're gonna do a wing. A lot of people were not having that wing. But you know how it is, man, when it comes to these BMWs and what we do, so many people have such strong opinions. But at the end of the day, yeah, I'm just like really happy with this car where it's at right now in terms of exterior stuff. There might be a few things that I change, but the majority of stuff is really just gonna be dialing in the performance and making it like a good, reliable street car. Obviously, the whole rod knock thing kind of threw a wrench in there, but like I said before, there's more to that story, and I think that, you know, a lot of people who are like saying it was this or saying it was that, they don't really know what they're talking about. Like, maybe they know about BMWs and about B58 engines in general, but they don't know about this particular situation, because every situation is different. There's always going to be multiple sides and multiple opinions, but until I tell you guys exactly what we found and what we think happened and what makes the most sense in terms of, you know, the evidence and what it all points to, I think a lot of people will start to realize it's more than just, oh, it was a bad engine, or oh, like the shop did something, or oh, it was a bad install, oh, I was beating on it too much. I think a lot of that judgment should be reserved until we actually show you what happened with the engine. So yeah, lots to be discussed there, obviously, but I didn't want to just make the video. Like, I could have just made a video talking about what happened to my engine, but I didn't want to do that. I really wanted to just pull the engine apart and show you guys, and then also tell you what we think, you know, probably happened to the car and probably happened before my ownership. But it is what it is. Anyways, guys, thanks for joining me on this little Sunday. Beautiful day with the F30. Got a lot of stuff coming up. It's gonna be fun. I'll do a couple more POV videos for you guys as we break it in. And once we turn it up, we're gonna have some fun POV videos. These ones are just kind of cruising. We're just kind of messing around, breaking in the motor. Anyways, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Love ya. Take care. Peace.